such a cool experience. We lived in Boston for several months, and it was really cool, and I learned a lot, and I got to revisit sheet music and all, and be like, okay, I kind of know how to do this.
Yeah, so this is about you, your journey in music, and how you got to where you are now, and we'll talk all about your new song and the EP Breakup season that's coming out as well.
Awesome.
Cool. So first off, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. So I was born in Dallas, and then I was raised in this small little suburb east of Dallas in Rowlett, Texas. And I lived there until I was 22 and moved out to Los Angeles.
Oh wow,
Um,
okay. Rowlett, Texas. How close is that to I have family that were in Plano, Texas? Is that fairly
oh
close?
yeah, Plano's like 10 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
funny. I remember as a kid going out there to Plano at least, and it was like 130 degrees in the summer.
Yeah. Texas is I just spent a month there with family over, and of course I decided to visit in summer when it's the hottest, most humid time of year. And I'm like, I want to go back to LA where it's dry and cool.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in Southern California, so I feel you when it
Yeah,
comes to going
I
back there. You're like, oh man.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember trying to find my aunt was like, "There's a skate park," because I was super into skateboarding, and she took me there, and it was indoors, and it had to be like even hotter inside there. I'm like, I don't even know
Yeah.
how people do
I'm
anything.
pretty sure I know the exact if it was in Plano, I know the exact skate park you're talking about.
It
It's like
wasn't Plano. It was like
yeah, my
indoors,
cousin
and
used
there's a
to go
little
there all the
outdoor
time.
warehouse
Yeah,
area to it.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
so
So
funny. Cool. So you grew up there. What was it like aside from it being a million degrees?
yeah, it was, I've always loved my Texas Southern roots, and it was nice. Being from Dallas, it was always I was immersed in country music and everything,
Mhm.
but luckily my parents raised me on like everything. So from Olivia Newton-John to David Bowie to the Eagles to Bon Jovi, I was to George Strait. So yeah, it was cool. And then, I kind of found a little later, I kind of found the kind of the music scene in Dallas once I started a band when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And yeah. So I when I was really little, when I was like in third grade, I was like, I told my parents, I was like, I'm not going to college. I'm going to move to New York the moment I graduate and become like, I want to be a Broadway star. And so my parents were like, whatever you do, just set your mind to it. So I wanted to do that. And then I hit middle school and I was like, I was really into, the Warped Tour scene and pop
Uh-huh.
punk and everything. And I wanted to start a band. And I went to my parents and I was like, I want to do this and I want to start a band. And also, I started a band when I was 12 and with four other guys, and they were 16 and 15. So they were quite a bit older than me. But
Mhm.
that's kind of how I discovered the music scene in Dallas. And the music scene in Dallas was very, a lot of metal and punk and everything. And it was really weird being a 12, 13-year-old girl playing these dive bars in Deep Ellum and in Dallas. When all the other bands around you are like in their 20s and they're metal and they're like, what is this like little girl doing here? And then I'd come up on stage and I'd be like, I tried so hard to command the room because I knew I had to gain the respect of all these like metalheads in the audience. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I still love Dallas so much. It's,
Mhm.
my hometown, and I love the music scene still there. It's not, obviously what I do. I don't do like the metal and all that, but or
Right.
country. Um, but yeah, I love it. It's my roots. So I always go back to it.
That's cool that your parents were so supportive. I mean, even to
Yeah.
say, I'm not going to go to college, like in elementary school, to say, I'm not going to college, I'm going to move to New York. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
cool, whatever you want to do. Instead of
My
like, no, you will go to college and you will
yeah.
do this. And then, yeah, you're going to be in all this debt and hopefully you'll
I
find a job.
I'm really grateful, and I consider myself really lucky that my parents were so supportive. My mom was a middle school math teacher. My dad's a plumber. And they were like, whatever you do, just, do it 100%. So they were like, we'll be behind you as long as you like, whether you want to be a doctor or a musician or what, like if you just go and do it 100%, we'll be there. So
That is
I
so
consider
cool.
myself very grateful for that because I know that's not the case with a lot of people. So
Yeah. Wow. Well, you talked about, wanting to go to New York and be on Broadway. Were you in musical theater? Were you into that prior to starting this band when you got to middle school? Like, were you trained on an
yeah.
instrument at all early on?
Yeah. Well, I played piano. My mom put me in piano when I was I don't know, I guess in second grade or so, and I took
Oh,
piano
okay.
for 6 years. And it's funny because I was trying to learn to read music and everything, and um there was this thing in piano lessons where it was like you got like extra points. You got like gold stars or something like on the board or whatever if you memorized things. And if you like would memorize the song.
Hmm.
And I ended up always getting tons of points for it. And we were trying to figure out why, because I was so young and everything. And we didn't really understand it. And then it hit my mom that I would come home from piano and I would have her play it for me. I'd have her play the song because she could read sheet music.
Your
And
mom?
yeah, my
Oh,
mom.
okay.
And
So
so,
she plays too. She's a piano
yeah, she
player.
plays piano and she
Oh,
took
cool.
piano throughout her years and all, and she always played by music.
Hmm.
But I would have her sit down, play the song for me once, and then I'd be able to play it. And she was
Wow.
like, "How are you? What are you doing?" Because she'd walk in there and I'd be playing and I'd be like trying to hear the note and trying to figure it out. And she was like, "Just look at the sheet music." And then we found out about like 5 years into my 6 years of piano that I was doing it all by ear. And so I never was actually looking at the sheet music. I was cheating by having my mom play it once, and then I was just hearing it.
Like
Um,
you'd memorize it. Interviewed
yeah,
somebody a while back, and they said the same thing. Like they couldn't read the
yeah,
music, and they would just do the same thing.
yeah,
And the piano teacher one time just switched the sheet music and was like, "Okay, play it." And then they were playing the song they're supposed to. Like, I knew you couldn't read the
yeah.
notes.
So so on one hand, I'm like, I wish I would have like I can sit down and read music, but I can't sight read and like play it right there. Like I can
Right.
sit and be like, okay, that's E, F, like and
Hmm.
slowly do it, but I can't just like pick it up and read it. But if you play it, I'll be able to sound it out.
That's
But yeah,
good.
so
I would imagine that's more helpful than being able to
it,
just look
yeah,
at a piece of paper.
it came in handy once I realized what I actually wanted to do and being in like, pop music and not like classical or anything, that I wanted to be a singer and all. I mean, I most of my training, you were asking about musical theater. I was in musical theater always as a kid. And
Hmm.
any pretty much all of my voice training is in musical theater, which a lot of people say when they hear me sing, they're like, I can tell that you did musical theater because I like to have a lot of vibrato and I'm a very loud singer and
Hmm.
everything. So yeah, everything I've done was musical theater. I used to do all the musical theater camps as a kid and um up until the time that I started my band. And then I've always been such a huge fan of Broadway and I still am. I'd still love to do that one day. But yeah, musical theater and then the piano. And then when I was in my band, we won a battle of the bands and actually we got like a scholarship to the Berkeley 5-week program in Boston,
Wow.
which was really cool. So I consider some of that even some of my training,
Sure.
because it was such a cool experience. We lived in Boston for several months, and um, it was really cool, and I learned a lot, and I got to revisit sheet music and all, and be like, okay, I kind of know how to do this.
Right. Well,
So
how old are you when you guys won that contest?
I was 14,
Wow. And you got
which
to move to Boston for a few months to
yeah,
attend the
my parents
Berkeley's
came with us.
program?
Yeah, so I was 14, and the youngest age that you were supposed to be to go to the 5-week program was 15. So they made an exception because we won the Battle of the Bands, and they're like, well, the rest of the band is like 16, 17,
Mhm.
you're 14. So I was the youngest to ever go to the 5-week program. And so I'm like 14 years old, walking like around Boston, going back and forth to my classes. And we we actually, so my mom and dad came with us. So we were in like this 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom apartment or something. We made it into like 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, with my parents, me, my dog, and then 4 band members for
Oh,
several months in
wow.
Boston.
Your parents, I mean, not only did they support your career, but wow, talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
taking
So
one for the team.
it was an experience. Like, I commend my parents because I'm an only child. So, they had me, and then I don't think they ever expected like that they were gonna have to be also taking care of like 4 teenage boys as well. Like, that wasn't
Sure.
part of the plan when they only had 1 kid. Um, so yeah, it was a wild ride, but it was fun.
That is cool. And you did the band up until you did American Idol, or is that a different band?
No, it was the same band. So we changed names. We were originally called Jackie and Those Guys when I started it when I was 12.
That's a solid
And
name, though.
thank you. And we were, when you're like young and you're teenagers, you're like, I'm tired of them mispronouncing my name, and I'm tired of them thinking that I'm a solo artist and they're my backup band. So, it was like, so we changed it to Jagged Row was the name of the band. And
How would they pronounce your name? It's like exactly how it's
JC.
spelled. Oh,
Yeah.
Jaci.
Yeah, I don't know. So it was like a whole thing. So we changed it, and the guys were like, they think that we're just those guys. And I was like, okay, let's change the name. So we changed the name, and we toured from the time I was 12 to the time I was 20. So
Wow.
8 years we were together. We toured all over the US, Canada. We played like, we did my favorite thing, which was being on stage, which
Hmm.
that's my number one thing. Like, I love being in the studio and everything, and of course I love the writing process. But as far as like the thing that just I love, that I hold dearest to my heart, is being on stage. So
Hmm.
we toured, we played over like 600 shows, I think, in that time. And then I got on
All
American Idol.
independently, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, we opened for a few people, but we were never on like a tour with anyone
Hmm.
specifically. And we did it, we booked it ourselves, and my dad helped a lot. He would drive our, old beat up expedition around, because I was underage the whole time. So
Right.
yeah, it was pretty crazy. And I think when I was like 19 is when I did Idol. And
Okay.
so that was towards the end of the band. The Idol happened around 2015. The band broke up in 2016.
Okay.
Um,
I saw
yeah,
that you auditioned in San Francisco. Is that true?
I did. So I didn't, we were on tour, and we had a manager at the time, and I didn't want to audition for American Idol. I didn't want to do it. I was like, I'm not a solo artist. I am with my band all the way. I don't want to do this. And my manager and my band members at the time were like, well, you need to do this. Like, this would be good. Like, you need to do it. And we were on tour, and my manager was like, the last auditions, because it was the last season before they rebooted it on
Hmm.
ABC.
Okay.
And it was
You
the
got the
last,
last Fox season.
yeah, and it was
Okay.
the last audition. San Francisco was the last place that they were doing auditions, and we were in California at the time. We were in LA
Hmm.
touring. So we were like, let's do it. And my manager got the audition, and I went, and I ended up getting 3 yeses and going to Hollywood week. And it was just a whirlwind thing. And the whole time I was like, trying to be very clear to everyone, like in the interviews, I was like, but I'm the lead singer of a band, like, um, but it was really cool. And I got cut during group week. And one of my best friends from childhood, Dalton Rapatoni, was actually on the same season. He made top 3.
Wow.
And he's so talented. He's one of the best songwriters that I know. But yeah, it was, so Hollywood week was crazy. I think I slept like a total of like 6 hours throughout the whole week.
Oh my gosh. Just what? Practicing and trying to make sure that you could perform?
And like they'd give you like the song, like they'd give you like your group, or they'd give you the song or whatever, or approve the song at like 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. And then they'd be like, okay, call time's 4 a.m. So like you'd be like, well, I gotta practice the song and I gotta get up and do makeup and hair because I'm performing on national TV. And so yeah, it was pretty insane. Afterwards, I went back to my hotel room and just cried, not because I had gotten cut, but just I think from all the stress and all. And I was just like, it was almost like relief. Like I was sad to not keep going, but at the same time, it was like, it was so stressful. I was like,
it was
okay,
a lot. Yeah. So you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah, but I'm
I did
still
that,
grateful
but
for it. Yeah.
yeah, great
People
exposure
still,
too, I'm sure.
yeah, I'll be in like Target and people will still be like, were you on American Idol? And I'm like, because I've had green hair now for 6 years. So like people still recognize me as, you were that girl with the green hair on Idol. And I'm like, yeah, dang.
That's cool. I mean, wow. So with the manager, were you able to skip the line of people, or did you still have to wait in the line and do all that?
In a way. So I actually auditioned in a hotel room in Ohio because, like I said, we were on tour. So like a few weeks before, we were in Ohio and I got the call and she was like, can you do like a Zoom audition in front of the producers? So I just said,
innovative.
Like,
prior to a pandemic, you're on
exactly
Zoom.
Right. I was like, what is Zoom? Or, I don't even think it was on Zoom. I think it was Skype.
Oh, sure. That company. What happened to that company? How did they miss the ball on like anyway.
Yeah, God. I was like, when was the last time I actually used Skype? But yeah, so I did the audition there, and then
what did you sing?
I sang Why Worry by a band called Set It Off. And they were especially back then, they were a small band from Florida, and they were like this pop punk band, and I loved them so much, and I was like, I'm gonna sing their song. And then I sang one of ours, one of our
that's cool. You did an original. Not a lot of people do originals.
So I did that for the Skype interview, and then they were like, yeah, we'll put you in front of the actual judges, which were J-Lo, Keith Urban, and Harry Connick Jr. And they told me I had to sing like a cover song for that. So I went in, and my call time that day was 7 a.m. I don't think I auditioned for them until 8 p.m.
Oh, wow. So you're sitting around for 13 hours?
Yeah. And I was one of the last auditions of the day even. And then I went in and I sang Why Worry by Set It Off again. And I remember we had to like contact like their people to get the rights for it because they were like a smaller band.
Clear it. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And what's funny is I know several of the guys in Set It Off now, which is crazy cool.
I was gonna say that probably like really put you on their map. They're like, whoa, this girl that sings on Idol wants us.
And they were like, so when I first met one of them, I was like, do you guys remember when like American Idol contacted you? And they were like, yeah, it was weird. And I was like, that was me. So, but they ended up not showing me sing that song. So they had me sing a second song. I sang It'll Rain by Bruno Mars.
Of course, right?
They're ended up showing.
Yeah. Like, we need to go with something safe.
Yeah,
exactly. Do a Bruno Mars song for us.
Yeah. So that's what I ended up singing, or that's what they ended up showing. And I remember I got 3 yeses, but I didn't think I was gonna get 3 yeses because Harry Connick Jr., I felt like he didn't like me as much. he said to me, he said, "There's just something about you that I don't like, that I don't want to root for." And
Ouch.
and then he asked me, he said, "Are you gonna keep the green hair though um for like Hollywood Week?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, okay."
Was that probably was taken out, I'm sure. That was
No,
that
that
got
part
cut on
was
the edit.
actually that part was actually kept in about the green hair.
Really?
I think I
Wow.
think the part about him saying he didn't like me was taken out.
Good, because that would be
But
bad. I mean, if
he
it's
ended up
based
giving
on
me a yes
voting,
though.
yeah,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, that's pretty.
But yeah, it was cool, and just getting to be that close to like J-Lo was like, I'll never forget it. She's just like 10,000 times more beautiful than you would even imagine, and like she's J-Lo. So
Sure.
but yeah, it was a really cool experience, and yeah, it's so from there
Yeah. So
it
after Idol, now you have these eyes on you. What do you do?
yeah, so we continued to tour some, and we got on this one tour that was like right after, that was like summer camps and stuff, and it was really fun. We played all summer, and then my well, I broke the golden rule of being in a band. I dated my lead guitarist.
Oh,
So
okay.
so we dated for 6 years, and in the middle of that summer tour of 2016, right after the Idol premiered, or my episode showed, um he was like, "I don't want to be in the band anymore." And so, all of this went down. The rest of the band members were like, "Yeah, I don't know if I want to either." So the band ended up breaking up in like the
Just because
summer.
of the Idol situation? Like, that's
I don't
weird.
think it had to do with Idol. I
Oh,
I never really found out, is the thing. It was more about what I think it is we started the band when we were all so young.
right.
And since day one, I always knew this is what I wanted to do. And I think they were getting older. They were like, I was 19. So they were like 22, 23. And I think they were like, this isn't what I want to do anymore.
Mhm.
And that was my song's called Breakup Season. That was probably the worst breakup I ever went through.
I
but,
bet. I mean, not
but
only that, you
yeah,
had a
not
boyfriend in the band and the band breaks
exactly.
up. Like,
So, but yeah, so after that, I was trying to figure out, like, do I want to continue with the name, like Haley Williams did with Paramore, and just keep going with the name Jagged Row, or did I want to kind of branch off and be a solo artist? And I did a lot of soul searching, and I came to the conclusion that I wanted to be in charge of my own thing. Like, it was great being in a band, and I loved having that camaraderie and everything, but I was like, I like making my own decisions. I like being the one kind of in charge of things. So I changed it, and I was like, I'm gonna be Jaci Butler again, not Jagged Row. And
mhm.
I wanted to move out to LA because that was one thing I always wanted to do, and the band didn't want to. Like, I had spent so much time in LA, and like I would spend, like we would spend 2 weeks out of every month like in LA. So LA was like a second home to me. But no one wanted to move there but me. So once I became a solo artist, I was like, I'm moving out here for the music, and because I had, right after all that happened with the band, I, started doing YouTube, and it was Musically at the time, not TikTok, and
Yeah,
started
my
kind of
younger son had
growing.
Musically. Like, he
Yeah.
always brings that up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was on there when it was Musically. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that's what I tell people. And I'm like, and they're like, what? And I'm like, never mind.
I think Halsey was on it when it was Musically.
I think so, yeah. And there were several people on it, and it was like, but people didn't take it seriously. Like, I had a
Mhm.
million followers on Musically, and people were like,
Did you
I
really?
don't care. Like, yeah.
Wow. That's
So
insane. Was it
yeah, it
just,
was
were you just going
weird.
on there and doing your own songs, or were you doing TikTok-y type things?
Back what I originally wanted to do was like, I would go on there and I would play the piano, and I would do cover, because it was like, I think you could do like 45 seconds. So I would
Mhm.
sit at my piano, I would do, covers, I would do some of my own songs, and those weren't that's not what people wanted to see on Musically. They wanted to see either like the lip syncing where it was like this,
Right.
like the Musically stuff, or they wanted to see comedy. And so I started doing like little skits and all, and that's what took off.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so it was like this weird workaround thing that I was doing social media and was on YouTube and Musically at the time, and then TikTok, where people didn't even know I was like a musician or know my history or anything. They just thought that I was like a comedian, if I can call myself that, like doing like funny skits and all
Yeah.
on social media. And I was like, wait, I'm a singer. Like, so yeah, it
That's
was
so that all blew up after the fact after you had done American Idol and everything.
yeah. So that was
It's
about
interesting they didn't put that together. Like, oh wait, she
yeah,
was on American Idol because you
yeah. It was
saw the
like a
green
year.
hair and everything. Like it would, I don't know.
Well, some people did, but I think like it was a lot of like teens and younger on Musically, and
Hmm.
I guess they weren't the ones necessarily watching American Idol, so they
True.
didn't like put two and two together or know. So, I released my first single as a solo artist in like 2018, summer of 2018, and that was like a year and a half after I'd been doing the social media thing and all.
Hmm.
And so everyone was like, "Oh, she sings now." And I was like, "I've been singing." So but yeah, it was interesting because a lot of people were like, "Oh, she's just, another social media person trying to break into music." And not that there's anything wrong with that. I have lots of friends that are in social media that are like, "Oh, I want to, try my hand in music." But I was like, "Wait, I've been doing this since I
But
was 12."
yeah, right.
Like,
You've been doing it. You've been touring. You were on
yeah.
American Idol. Like those are all
Yeah.
successes that not a lot of people can say that have been striving to just do music. I mean, you happen to have a YouTube channel that was successful, or in
Yeah.
musically that turned into TikTok, and you do
Yeah.
like a gaming channel too that has a ton of
I do.
subscribers.
I
Like you
do.
just
So
crush it on the internet.
thank you. When quarantine started, me and a few friends were like, let's do some YouTube together and let's do gaming. And it just kind of took off. And I created a second channel for it and everything. And now I post daily gaming videos
That's
on
rad.
that second channel. And so it's been cool because a lot of people on the gaming channel will be like, "Oh my god, I love your music," which is it's exciting to see the crossover because that's always what I've wanted to do and everything. I've just been lucky enough to be able to do a lot of the social media stuff, which in today's world like helps. Like it's not like, oh, you go play the troubadour and now you're signed to someone,
Right.
like it
No one
is
cares
like,
if you play the
you got to
troubadour
build your
anymore.
own fan base. Yeah. So, so yeah, I mean, it's been really cool, and it's a whole different world. The gaming world is that I didn't even know was like something that I wanted to be a part of. And then when I became part of it, I realized how cool it was.
Wow. So that just started over when quarantine happened.
Yeah. So that literally started like May of 2020, I guess. Yeah.
Whoa. Wow. That's really impressive.
Thank you.
Well, real quick on the American Idol thing, because you worked with somebody from your season, right, on the new song?
Yeah, so Avalon Young, who we actually both auditioned in San Francisco. We met that day.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, so we went way back from the very beginning of American Idol. I remember her sitting there with her guitar, like we were lined up in this room. But yeah, she got like top 10 on American Idol. She's so talented, such a talented artist, writer, and performer and everything. And I didn't even realize it. She lives like I live in the valley, and
Hmm.
she lives like a block from me, and I didn't even know it.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and the guys that I was working with on this new project, the whole project, they were like, we've been working with this girl. Her name's Avalon, um, and we were thinking about like us doing this song together. And I was like, wait, Avalon? And they like pulled her up on Instagram, and I was like, that's Avalon. Yeah, like we were on American Idol together. So it was really cool. It was like a weird turn of events that like you know, like we had mutuals that, like I said, the two producers that I was working with, Tony and Marino, they're so talented, and they're like, yeah, we've been writing a bunch with this girl named Avalon, and we want to do this song and like a song with her. And I was like, wait, and I was like, yeah, let's bring her in, let's do it, like that would be awesome. So that was a really cool like reunion that I didn't even know was gonna happen on this project. um and yeah, that's the song. I'm so proud of it, and it turned out better than we could have ever imagined, I feel like.
So Breakup Season is the song that you have out now, but it's also going to be the title of the record, the EP that's coming
No,
out? Oh no.
actually the title of the EP is going to be called Lucky, which I don't know if
Oh,
I've even
okay.
said that to anyone yet, so
Oh, thank you.
but, but yeah, so it's the first single, but I felt like I wanted to release it first because to me it felt like it encompassed the whole project, kind of as a whole. Like it represented the project, and I feel like, you know, there's all these things that I believe in, whether that be love or good luck charms, things like that, and Breakup Season kind of represents that. And I kind of wanted to come out of the gate, you know, with this new song as like, hey, I am a musician, because like I said, it's been like a long road of people being like, wait, you sing, you're a musician, you know, and I wanted to be like, hey, here I am. Like, yeah, I've released some music before this, but this is like, I'm at a place where like this is really me and who I am, and what I'm doing with, you know, my music and all. And so that's kind of what Breakup Season was. And plus we got to release it at a time that I feel like Breakup Season really is. Like I feel like coming at the end of summer and everything else, it's like it's legit breakup season.
Sure.
So
Start fresh, school
yeah.
and everything else. Okay, so this is the first song from the project. So
Yeah.
every like Better Me and the stuff you had released prior to that were just singles that you're.
Yeah, exactly. So, and those were actually, all of those were written like back in like, so Better Me, Color Me You, Bullet, all of those were written right after the band broke up in like 2017, like, you know, 2017, 2018 almost. And I wrote them all in Nashville. So I went to Nashville and wrote everything.
Oh,
So
that's where I'm at now. Is in
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I
Yeah.
think we're in Nashville. But yeah, so those were all like written way beforehand, and I was like just wanting to release them and put out music, and because I was so proud of those, but they were
Mhm.
definitely from a different time. You know, those were from a time where I was, like I said, trying to find, you know, what my sound was gonna be as a solo artist and all, coming from like this punk rock band and all. And so I still wanted to release those. And then um these, I really feel like, you know, I got to sit down and actually write and put out my soul. And, you know, and like now that I kind of am more stable in knowing where I am and what I'm doing, you know, and not like just coming out of a breakup or band or whatever,
Mhm.
um and really finding, you know, what I want to put out there as me, as Jaci Butler.
Mhm. So do you have with Avalon, did she only help write the one song, or did you work with her on the full EP or
It was on the one song, and then
okay.
and she's actually like she's been going through, like
Some
she actually had
health
brain
issues,
surgery.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was on the one song, and then me and Tony and Marino, who are the other two guys that I worked with to produce the album and everything, um we wrote on all of them. So it was really cool. And the studio is just like 8 minutes from my place, and I'd go there and we'd just, you know, come in and be like, okay, what are we doing today, you know, like, and we could just write and produce all in the same space. And it was really they're the best people that I've ever written with. So
That is
it was,
nice.
yeah.
Was
It's
it
nice
nice?
when you're like writing and it's like, you know, like you're like, what word do I need? And like they just fill it in right away. You know, it's like it's so easy.
Sure. And I'm sure it was nice to probably write in person and not like, did you do any like Zoom writing sessions or?
We actually didn't, because we started writing this whole project in April of this year. So it
Oh,
was,
okay. So it's fairly
yeah, so
new.
we were like, we were being really careful. It was right before we all got our vaccines, but we weren't seeing anyone else. So like we were
Got
like,
it.
okay, we'll do this. It'll just be us three. Like we're not going anywhere else. And then I think like after the first like 2 sessions is when I got my vaccine. So we were like good to go. We were like, so that was nice that we didn't, didn't have to do it all remotely, because I'm very a in-person pen to paper, like I'm not like I'm writing on like an old notebook, like
Oh,
instead
wow.
of like, on a computer. So it was really nice to be like in the room together while we were making this project.
That's amazing. And you have a video out as well for the song.
Yes, Breakup
Tell
season, it came out the same day, which was really exciting.
what's the video? Tell me about the video.
So the video is someone asked me the other day, like in person, they were like, so what was your inspiration for it? And I was like, Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, every breakup I've ever been through, and just wanting to smash things. So basically we had this idea, because to me, breakup season, we had this idea of like, because the project's called Lucky. So
Mhm.
um with several of the other songs, it's called Lucky, but there's a lot of like unlucky things going on, like broken mirrors and black cats and
Mhm.
things like that. So I was like, it's breakup season. Let's break some mirrors. And I was like, let's break stuff, because it's literally breakup. So the guy that directed the music video, he actually directed some of my band's old music videos. And so I was like, hey, I'm coming into Dallas for a little bit. Would you want to direct this music video for me? And he was like, yeah. So we got together, and we decided to put together like pictures of, we were like, it would be cool if there were like pictures of different seasons of you with like an ex. And I was like, well, I don't know if I should use like my actual ex's photos, like stuff like that.
Right.
So what I actually ended
He might not
yeah,
approve
I was like,
those.
I don't know. So what we actually ended up doing, because I was like, I could, like we could get an actor and I could take some photos and all. And so what I ended up doing, because I was like, well, I don't want to do that because of COVID and everything else. And I was going to see my grandmother. I was like, I need to limit my people as much as I can. So I took those old photos with my exes, and I actually I deep faked a fake boy over all the pictures.
Oh, you like
Um,
photoshopped one?
yeah, so I created a fake boy, a fake guy, with different aspects of different celebrities that I find attractive, like
Sure.
Harry Styles, Sebastian Stan, different things like that. I photoshopped him, created this perfect guy, right? And I deep faked him over all my old photos. So a lot of people that like watch my YouTube and stuff like that, like they've already noticed. They're like, wait, that's so and so, but it's not. And I'm like, so
Oh, because they've seen
yes,
the original.
yeah, exactly. So it's like photos from my Instagram and everything else, and YouTube with different people, and um, it's not them, it's someone else, but I
That's
did
funny.
take the photos.
And then you're breaking up with your perfect person.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. My cousin Sarah, who did my makeup and all for the video, she's a makeup artist, and she was telling me, she was like, what if someone comes forward that looks just like him, and he's like, hey, that's me, and I was like, I'll be like, hey, nice to meet you. like, I know I broke up with you in this video, but
Let's get back together.
yeah. Hey. So I was like, hey, if someone does look like the guy in the music video, hit me up.
That's funny. That is so funny. I've never heard of anyone yet like creating their own person like
Yeah,
that.
I was like,
That's
you know what?
amazing.
I'll just do it myself. Because I
I
was like,
love
I don't
it.
know what to do here.
That is awesome. And so the project's called Lucky. You gonna do videos for the other songs on the record?
Yeah, I'm actually, so the next single's called Straight to the Bank. And I'm actually working on the music video for that as we speak. And I'm actually I'm planning on directing it and everything myself. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's in the works right now, and I'm excited for that. And that'll be probably releasing within the next month or so. So that'll
That
be
is
the next
awesome.
single off the project.
Between the writing songs and playing video games on your YouTube channel, you seem busy. I mean, you're doing a video a day.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, I love the music you have coming out or you have out. It's rad, and the video is cool too. That's really awesome that you shared that story about the photo
Thank
with
you
me.
so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you and so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I have one more question for you. I
Yeah.
want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Any advice? I know it sounds cliche, but literally, you know, do what makes you happy, and be true to yourself, because if you're not doing the kind of music that you like, if you're just doing it because you feel like that's, you know, what's in right now, or if you're just, you know, if you're trying to push something that's not you, um then I think people will see through that. And so if you are doing something that you truly love and you're really into, then I think, you know, the the numbers will come and everything, because that's what I learned with doing social media, is that if you're trying to be something you're not, then people are going to see through that. And but if you're being your authentic self, then people that gravitate towards that are gonna keep watching and keep listening. And I really think, as cliche as it sounds, being true to yourself and sticking to that is like the best thing you can do in like this social media crazy world that we live in right now. I think staying true to your art, your beliefs, your projects.
Bringing it backward.